Good evening, welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. Well, I bought something, I thought it was on Lazada, but it was delivered by J&T Express. So, not sure whether that's Lazada or not. But anyway, the delivery came on time, in good time, and so I'm very pleased to get it. This was something that I felt that we've needed for a while, because it will eliminate a terrific amount of work that our Superman team have to do. At the moment, because there is no electricity, I have a circular saw, but there is no electricity on any of the sites that we go to. Very, very difficult. And especially I wouldn't want any electricity. I wouldn't want any electrical tools in Gindolman. Because they're working, a lot of the time they're working in water. So I sent for a battery operated reciprocal saw. I've heard it called a sawzall. You can call it whatever you want, and we'll go from there. So I'll set the camera again, and by the way, this cost I think 3,500 pesos, 3,500 pesos or thereabouts. It may have been 3,004, it may have been 3,006. What the heck? What does it say here? No, it's the big lie. It's 3,900 or 3,000 and 99. Okay, so anyway, it's I think it's going to be a pretty good thing if it's as good as they said it was. So I'm going to cut it open, and you can see that happening on a different clip. I'll readjust the camera so that my ugly face is not part of it, and go from there. Okay, let's have a look. What we'll see. I have to point out that it looks like somebody had a peek in there, and it's got some damage on the casing there, look. But I don't think there'll be anything wrong, and we will have a look. Now my last purchase was rather disappointing. If you've been watching. Okay, well, it's nicely packed, which you can see. So it was a box within a box. Now, one of the things that it boasted was it had four blades. Let me see. And they're marked as well. That mark will not hold on there for very long, of course. But by that time, should be used to what they look like. It's taking a chance to get something that the workers are not used to. Is taking a chance anyway. But here's what it looks like. So there we are. That's what it looks like there. It's in the box. Here's the battery. Now, did it say it had two batteries? I'm not quite sure. There's the battery. That evidently is the battery charger, as you can see there, look. And here's the drill. Sorry, I should say the saw. Well, I have to say that it looks very sturdy, feels very sturdy, and you would want it. It has a good weight to it. Let's see. Now with these, very often they don't work straight off the bat. Ah, it does. Ah, now that's good. The harder you press the trigger, the faster it goes. There's a first and second pressure. Ah, now I find that that's actually a really good idea. Let's put the camera up. Yeah, I find that's a really good idea, because it means that you have gradual momentum. See, I'm just pulling a little. It feels really strong. I'm not going to put the blade in. It's about 9 or 10 o'clock at night. I don't feel inclined to start trying it out now, but looks nice. It's a little bit transformer-ish, as you can see. Looks like it came out of the Matrix or Zoom or that kind of thing, but a nice and that's over here. There's a lock, so you can lock that, which is a good idea, because sometimes when you pick things up like this, you're likely to press on the trigger without realizing it. And if you had one of these in, then that might give you a bit of a shock, I would think, in terms of dismemberment. But the design is very nice, and I'm quite pleased with that. Now we'll see how that performs. It is an experiment, and without sounding condescending on the guys that do our work, it's me that calls them the Superman team, and I call them that because of the incredible work that they do with no electrical tools at all. So they don't have any saws. They cut all of the wood by hand, by a handsaw. They cut all of the rebar by hand with a hacksaw. Now this tool does both. It will cut the rebar in moments. Let me see which one would be. That one's for wood. Looking at the finer one, the finer one will be for metal. So there we are. That's wood, there's wood, and there's metal. And you can see how much finer this is, just like a hacksaw. Right, so the trick, should I say, will be in trying to coach one of the guys to use this and to not wreck it. Now, the number of tape measures that I've given to our team is without count, and somehow the brake on them always gets broken, and then after that, with nothing to stop that blade from traveling back in at the speed of sound, the tape doesn't last very long. So they do their best work with those tools which they are familiar with. Now, one of the tools that I have loaned is the planer, the electric planer. I got the electric planer, I got back with the cable cut at about a foot and joined, spliced and taped back up again so that it works. Nothing was mentioned about it. Also, the blade was no longer good for doing nice finishing work. Just one of the things that happens, you know, that we work best with those tools that we're familiar with. The other tool that I loaned was the angle grinder. I got the angle grinder carried by Beanie with his wrist bandaged up, and he had cut into his wrist, quite a dangerous cut actually to cut here. In the movies they always cut themselves here to commit suicide. I don't think that that was his intention, right? But he'd cut himself down here. Now the thing is with all of these tools is the revs per minute that they are going at, they can be going at with some of the routers, which I don't have any intention of getting a router. I do have a small trimmer which I use personally or lend it to James, who is by far a better carpenter than I am, and but I don't lend that out because it goes at something like about 25 or 30,000 revs per minute. That's a serious number of turns, and if you don't turn the thing off, or if you turn the tool off and then if you're standing there and you put the tool down to your side, which is a natural thing, if the turning point, it catches on the clothes, what it does is it winds itself up until the only place it can wind itself up into is your flesh, and it can go into the thigh and it can be very, very nasty. So I've had that happen to me. Fortunately, the router, the actual the piece actually stopped before it reached my flesh, but it did catch into my shorts, and it was an enlightening moment, which made me realize that these tools are going at speeds which are beyond what we can think of. That's why there's such a high whine. So this one, it's good that it has a brake. See that's because I'm holding it on my worktop. See, once it gets to those really high revs, I haven't looked at what the instructions are on this, so I don't know what revs per minute it actually reaches. Perhaps I should have a look at that. Yeah, here we are. Now, at the moment, I am actually pleased with this. I think it is. I think it's going to be. It feels like it's going to be a good tool. Whether it will survive being on a building site with a worker who is not familiar with it, or careful with it, or the owner of it, is another thing. But we'll try. And 3500. I can take the risk. I'll let you know how that goes. Thanks for looking in, and bye for now.